Come to Providence Place, owned by the Sisters of Providence for retirees looking for an ideal rental setting to continue their active, independent lifestyles. We offer bright 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, a magnificent chapel with daily mass, restaurant-style dining, wellness and entertainment programs, all with a friendly community spirit on beautiful grounds. Call for a tour, 413-534-9700.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm Steve Kiltonick at the Big E, where fairgoers can experience up close and personal Michelangelo's masterpiece, the Sistine Chapel, at a new exhibit here at the Young Building.
The Big E comes to town. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll take you there next on Reel to Reel.
And Mark Giza has the latest from Hollywood. These stories and much more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel from the Big E in West Springfield. Hello and welcome to Reel from the 2017 Big E in West Springfield, held on the Eastern States Exposition's 175-acre grounds. Each year for more than 100 years now, the fair has been celebrating New England at its best. From agriculture to entertainment, food and fun, there are traditions that have been here at the Big E for many years, and there's always something new each year. Carolee McGrath will take us on a tour coming up, but first, the Vatican's Sistine Chapel frescoes were created more than 500 years ago by the Renaissance artist Michelangelo. During this year's 101st Big E, these iconic works of art have been reproduced through large-scale photos and can be seen at this special exhibit that has come to the fairgrounds for the first time. Steve Kiltonick spoke with the creator of this exhibit here in the Young Building and tells us more.
On November 1st, 1512, the magnificent ceiling frescoes adorning the Vatican's Sistine Chapel were unveiled to the public for the first time. They were painted by a rising 33-year-old sculptor named Michelangelo Buonarroti. But the frescoes were almost never created. In 1508, Michelangelo was hard at work on Pope Julius II's marble tomb. When the Pope asked him to switch gears and decorate the Sistine Chapel ceiling, Michelangelo at first refused. After all, he considered himself a sculptor first rather than a painter, and he had no experience with frescoes, which are painted on wet plaster. But Pope Julius persisted, and Michelangelo reluctantly accepted the commission, spending 4.5 years perched standing on scaffolding with brush in hand.
He worked day and night. He literally lived up there in and above the scaffolding. He did not want anyone to see this until it was completed. When the Pope tried to sneak up there and try to see, and he actually spotted the Pope was in disguise, but he recognized him, and Michelangelo started throwing wood pieces and other stuff at him to get him back down the scaffolding.
A Hollywood veteran of 30 years, Martin Bialis and his company, Special Entertainment Events, specializes in large-scale exhibits. In Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel, the exhibition, he has recreated one of the world's most iconic artistic achievements. It is being shown at the Big E Fairgrounds for the first time. The son of a Lutheran minister, Bialis recalls when he first visited the Sistine Chapel 5 years ago.
Long lines, long wait, lots of people inside, lots of screaming and yelling, shoving, guards trying to take your camera, even if you were thinking about taking a photo. So it was a somewhat stressful experience.
Because the frescoes are 60 feet above the floor, it's impossible to see them in any great detail.
They look somewhat like a bigger stamp because they're way up high, and you only have like 20 minutes, so you can't really see much, or let alone study them individually.
Bialis wondered how could the frescoes be brought down to a level where everyone could view them up close.
So the idea was, if I can reproduce these in the original size, the average size of one of the frescoes is about 10 by 18 feet. The Last Judgment is 41 by 41 feet. So then we were looking for the images, because you need high-resolution images in order to reproduce them. It's not like a postcard or a poster. They're large reproductions.
Bialis found the agency that gets the photos directly from the Vatican museums, which in turn gave him exclusive worldwide rights and a 12-year license for the exhibit. In the summer of 2015, Bialis started with one exhibition unit in Montreal and soon added 2 more units because the demand was so high. The 3 units showcase all 34 frescoes and recently appeared in Shanghai, Munich, and New York at the World Trade Center. The 4th unit at the Big E is a smaller scaled-down version of the 3, each of which typically use 10,000 square feet of space.
Big E only has 3,500 square feet. So we designed a special unit where we show 13 original size frescoes. We show the Last Judgment in a 12 by 12 size, and the other ones are in a smaller size, but that way we can fit everything in here and the collection is complete.
In the 1980s and 90s, the frescoes were restored to their original beauty, which is also when the photos were taken.
We use a special textile material to give them the look and feel of a fresco, so it doesn't look like an oil painting or any kind of other piece of art.
The exhibit features scenes from the Bible's Old and New Testament, such as Genesis, which tells the story of the creation of the world. Arguably, the most famous fresco is the creation of Adam, which focuses on the implied contact between God and his greatest creation, mankind. Genesis also includes the creation of Eve, which is the central painting in the arch ceiling, and the fall of man, represented by the expulsion of Adam and Eve from paradise. The Great Flood depicts the largest punishment inflicted by God for the sins of mankind. The Old Testament includes the frescoes of 7 biblical prophets, including Joel, all of whom foretold the coming of the Messiah. The prophet Daniel is shown writing, while Isaiah, who foretold the sacrificial death of Jesus, appears with 2 small figures who are considered the conveyors of God's message. The prophet Zechariah is portrayed as a venerable figure. Various ancestors of Christ are shown, along with 5 sibyls, who were revered for their prophetic powers. The Delphic Sibyl is shown reading her scroll before being moved by the word of God. She foretold the coming Messiah will be mocked with a crown of thorns. In David and Goliath, Michelangelo depicts the moment of triumph with Goliath lying on the ground. 25 years after the ceiling frescoes, Michelangelo completed his final Sistine Chapel masterpiece, his visionary interpretation of the Last Judgment. It took Michelangelo 4 years to complete the Last Judgment, which appears above the western altar of the chapel. 390 individual figures are depicted on the 41 by 41 foot canvas. In the center is the figure of Christ, with Mary and the saints surrounding him. John the Baptist is recognized by his animal skins. Angels carry the tools of suffering from the crucifixion, and the resurrection of the dead reveals the chosen ones rising up into the heavens. The right side shows the fate of the damned being forced down into hell by demons. Look closely and you may notice Michelangelo's self-portrait.
He was quite a depressed person, just his nature, and you can just see he is that image, that head and the arms and his body hanging down, dripping.
The exhibit has received rave reviews and drawn record-breaking crowds wherever it has appeared.
Especially when you see all 34, it's almost overwhelming. You know, they just say, oh, wow. We're really happy to be able to bring these to you up close so people can actually enjoy them. They can take as many photos as they like.
There's a lot of other merchandise available, including t-shirts and jewelry, along with the souvenir guidebook, which gives the history and details of each individual fresco.
You don't want people to go through a college course here, on Michelangelo. It's a light introduction to his works, and it's wonderful. So I think people will enjoy it here at Big E.
If you miss Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel exhibit, it's on tour across the US, Asia, and Europe for the next 9 consecutive years. So there's still plenty of time to view the awe and wonder of one of the world's greatest artistic achievements in all its glory, without traveling to Rome. For Reel to Reel, I'm Steve Kiltonick.
After the Big E, the exhibit will travel west to Denver. For a complete listing of other locations during the next year, we have a link at iobserve.org. And joining me now to talk more about this great state fair that is now more than 100 years old is Big E President and CEO Gene Cassidy. Hello, Gene. Nice to see you.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. It's great to see you, too.
So, Gene, now the fair has been going on for a week now, and there's so much to see and do here. There's attractions, crafts, you name it. What is so special about this fair?
Well, I've been in the fair business for almost 24 years, and I, for the first time, experienced a dish called poutine, which is very popular up in Canada, and it hasn't really made its way to the United States. And I love cheese curds. I always tell people how I eat the cheese curds, the Wisconsin cheese curds. But what they do is they take brown gravy and they put the cheese curds in the brown gravy and they heat it up just right and they pour it over French fries. And of course, a very special exhibit this year, and that's the Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. And for those of us who might never have an opportunity to travel to the Sistine Chapel, it's really something that's quite remarkable. It's traveling all over. It came to the Eastern States from a museum in New York City. And it's in the Young Building, where my favorite Trappist monks are also located, those who brew the Trappist beer from Spencer, Massachusetts. So it's a great feature, and I encourage folks, if you want to learn about beer and how to drink it properly, come to the Big E. The monks are running a little program. It lasts about 20 minutes, and it was a tremendous learning experience for me. And just so, in case anybody's wondering, the monks can only have one bottle of beer, and they do that with their Sunday supper. So
oh my goodness.
That's how they get to drink it.
Wow. Well, that sounds amazing. And for anybody who hasn't come here yet, we still have a week left, right?
Well, there's so much entertainment, Sharon. I encourage people to go on thebiggie.com, download the Big E app. It's available on both platforms. If you don't have a plan, you're going to find yourself just wandering, and some people like to do that.
Yeah. Well, certainly something for everyone, and thank you so much, Gene Cassidy, for being with us today.
Thank you, Sharon.
Good luck to you for the duration.
And don't forget, Sunday Mass at the circus tent, 10 o'clock.
Exactly. Don't miss that. And still to come on Reel to Reel, Mark Giza has the latest from Hollywood, and Carolee McGrath takes us on a tour of this year's 101st edition of New England's Great State Fair, the Big E. These stories and more are still to come from the Big E in West Springfield.
We walk by faith and not by sight. No gracious
The Childless of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Brother Terrence Scanlon, inviting you to take time out of your busy days and join us Sunday morning at 10. We welcome Reverend Robert White, pastor of Mount Carmel Parish in the south end of Springfield, as our Mass presider. The Childless of Salvation, your spiritual connection, Sunday morning at 10, right here on 22 News.
St. Mary's Westfield, the school so many love. A family atmosphere permeates all we do. We offer a rigorous curriculum and high expectations, and we build character in our students through spiritual growth, academic success, sports, service, and other activities. Small class sizes, a dedicated faculty, and high-caliber academics provide a customized education. St. Mary's Westfield, where character counts. Call 413-568-2388.
A great romantic musical playing at the Majestic Theater right here in West Springfield, a great animation film for the whole family, and Jake Gyllenhaal gives an amazing performance. Let's take a look at this week's Real Culture. Director Danny Eaton has a hit at the Majestic Theater in West Springfield. It's called The Bridges of Madison County. Yes, we've all read the book, seen the movie, but to watch this musical on stage is a rare treat. The story follows a young war bride brought to Iowa to live a simple farmer's life. But after meeting Robert Kincaid, her life will never be the same again. The musical is rich in love songs, but it's also rich in well-cast actors. Joe Casey as Robert looks just like the character and sings with real emotion. A perfect choice. But the evening really belongs to Heather Hannon as Francesca. This gifted actress sings like a dream and never gives us one false move on the stage. This is a very hard role to play, and Miss Hannon succeeds in every breath she takes. Now, this show was not a hit when it played on Broadway, but now in West Springfield, it's a red-hot hit. It's there till October 22nd. And now a film filled with power and pure drive. It's called Stronger. and it's based on the life of Jeff Bauman, who was waiting at the finish line for his ex-girlfriend as she ran the Boston Marathon. Then the bombs went off, and after regaining consciousness, he helped the Boston police identify one of the bombers. But now his battle starts because he lost both his legs in this hell on earth. Jake Gyllenhaal is perfect in the part of Jeff. We see the struggle in his eyes and the pure drive not to give in. What a performance. What a film. This is one not to be missed.
It's gonna be all right. I'm gonna be okay, right? You're gonna be okay. Yeah.
Starting tomorrow, we'll have an audition.
And still playing on the big screen is a wonderful film called Leap. It's all about a young girl's dream to be a dancer and what she must go through to become queen of the dance. The animation treat has everything a good story should: hope, drive, and most of all, a sense of wonder. And yes, finally a film that a family can go to and not worry about anything. So follow your heart, dare to dream, as a young dancer lives out her dream right before our eyes. It's rated PG.
I already told you, you are nothing. You will always be nothing.
Only one way to find out. Right here, right now.
And you can see my reviews, as well as read other movie reviews, provided by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops online at iobserve.org. That's iobserve.org. And in the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about some great shows coming right here to Real Culture. The Goodspeed Opera House will present the musical Rags. The Bushnell Theater in Connecticut will present Les Miserables. It'll be back for a 2-week run. And don't forget our local theater right here. The Theater Guild of Hamden presents Broadway Bound, and the wonderful Opera House Players soon will be presenting the great musical Annie. I'm Mark Giza for Real Culture. Have a fabulous weekend.
Our very own Mark Giza is directing Neil Simon's Broadway Bound with the Theater Guild of Hamden. This play takes place in 1949 and is set in Brooklyn, New York. Christopher Rojas plays the lead character, Eugene.
Eugene is a fun, goofy kid. He's not really a kid, he's 23, but he's a comedy writer, aspiring comedy writer, and he's this brilliant comic mind. He's actually the part of Neil Simon, who wrote it, because it's an autobiographical play.
Eugene's mother, Kate, is played by Aileen Marino-Terzi. She says it's a more serious and challenging role.
She is the daughter of immigrants. She has basically lived her whole life for her children, but in her time basically taking care of her children and raising her family, she sort of not intentionally neglected the marriage a little bit, and so her husband obviously feels that and strays away.
You can see Broadway Bound starting next weekend at the Greenhouse Theater, 2 Summers Road in Hamden, September 29th, 30th, October 6th, and 7th, starting at 7:30. There are 2 Sunday matinees, October 1st and 8th, starting at 2 p.m. Tickets are $20 each and can be purchased online at theaterguildofhamden.org or by calling 413-374-2084. The Big E was founded by Joshua L. Brooks to improve agriculture and industry, which are still promoted at the fair today. From large scale to local gardening, New Englanders have long shared a love and appreciation for the harvest. Our next story takes us to St. Mary's Church in Westfield, where the parish community has long admired the garden behind the rectory, created by former pastor Father Brian McGrath. This year, the current pastor, Father Frank Lawler, opened it up to the parish, creating a community garden for the first time. David Martin now shows us the progress from summer into the fall season.
Gardeners of the community garden at St. Mary Parish in Westfield began planting seeds in early May, and the progress could be seen in mid-July. Father Frank Lawler, pastor at St. Mary Church, said the ground there has very fertile soil from past gardens. The maintenance staff created separate beds and put numbers on them. Father Lawler placed a notice in the bulletin announcing the parishioners could grow their own garden at the parish. The response was so overwhelming that a waiting list had to be created.
We want them to be on our campus, whether that's for gardening or for meetings or for parties or whatever it is, and just make them feel comfortable with the whole concept of church and community. And those are the two things that this enhances, I think.
Father Lawler said gardeners decided whether to grow flowers or fruits and vegetables, some of which would be donated to the church's St. Vincent de Paul Society for their food pantry. Emphasizing faith, prayer, and charity, parishioners are learning more than growing vegetables in the St. Mary Community Garden. Jacqueline Luna, a lifelong parishioner at St. Mary's, has been growing lettuce, peppers, beans, and zucchinis for zucchini bread in her space at the community garden to help provide for her family. Luna said in discovering that some are growing produce in their boxes specifically for the St. Vincent de Paul Society, she realized it is an opportunity for parishioners to give in another way if they are not able to volunteer their time to the society. She related her gardening at the church to a spiritual experience.
I had to make sure that I took the time out of my day to come, water it, weed it, so it was a way of giving of myself into the garden, and also the example of other people growing for St. Vincent and how that's something that they will be able to enjoy, fresh produce.
Luna said she learned a lot from the parish garden experience, including when to plant and when crops are ready to pick. She also learned from observing other gardeners' plots how to create the layout of plants to take advantage of sun and rain. Father Lawler said his parish includes many generous people. Parishioners stock the shelves of the St. Vincent de Paul food pantry with non-perishables regularly. Just about every week, there is some type of donation from the community garden to the food pantry.
No, I'm just constantly amazed at the need, first of all, but of the willingness of people to step in and meet that need, and it's really encouraging for everybody.
Jerry Rayome, a board member of the St. Vincent de Paul Society, said gardeners really have the opportunity to appreciate the fertile land at St. Mary Parish, and there is a lot of camaraderie between them in offering their harvest.
It just shows their generosity. I think the good Christian spirit that they're willing to share what they have with others. So they do it willingly and they do it gladly, which is nice.
Rayome said the food pantry is grateful to have donations of fresh produce, since it is very expensive in grocery stores. He said it was a wonderful year for growing because of a lot of sunshine and rain. Luna said it was nice that the parish opened up the garden to those like herself who do not have space to create a garden at home. She said being one of the youngest to have a garden plot there is special, to show her interest and encourage additional parishioners to learn from more experienced gardeners.
Just spread the word, so maybe it will grow and others my age or younger will come with it, or families will do it together.
Luna is already looking forward to growing a different variety of crops in the St. Mary Community Garden next year. For Reel to Reel, I'm David Martin.
Dave tells us that everyone at the parish is so pleased with how the garden turned out this season, and they are really looking forward to a happy planting next year. As you've been seeing during our show, the Big E is in full swing. Already, thousands of fairgoers have come through the gates this past week to experience everything that is great about New England. Reel to Reel's Carolee McGrath went to check out all that the Big E has to offer and has this report.
It was hot and packed at the Big E as thousands turned out for the 101st Annual New England Fair, which began September 15th. The Big E has something for everyone: food, rides, entertainment, and even a couple of wise guys. Stu Gordon, a Danny DeVito impersonator, and Mike Walter, impersonating the late Don Rickles, were making people do double takes in front of the Court of Honor stage. So are you guys enjoying your time here?
We're having a wonderful time. Absolutely great. This is my first year here, and I'm having the time of my life.
Look, exactly like Danny DeVito.
I do? Yeah. You're the first one that told me that.
Can you imagine?
I can't believe it.
A lot of people think he looks like Joe Pesci.
That ain't happening. Strike that one. Anyway, yes, that's great. It's great to be at the Big E. Very important. This place is awesome. They're great people to work for, and great people come to the Big E.
The Big E, which began as an agricultural trade show, has become one of the biggest fairs in the country and represents all 6 New England states. Kids were able to get up close and personal with the animals and learn more about agriculture in New England. Then, of course, hold on to your stomach because there are plenty of rides that spin and soar high above solid ground. This kid even managed to do the dab for our cameras on the coaster, which is pretty impressive. Is this your first time here?
No, this is our 4th year.
Okay. Yeah. And so why do you guys come back? Because it seems like
fun. The kids love it. The food, the rides, or a lot of kid rides, and stuff to do on the weekends. So, yeah, we love it.
How many miles left open still to feed? And I don't want to say what I don't mean.
Last year, more than 1.4 million people attended the Big E, which books local talent and big-name entertainers like country music's Cole Swindell, who played Saturday, September 16th. Some of Swindell's hits include You Should Be Here and Middle of a Memory. Christian music's King and Country performed Sunday evening, September 17th. The Big E is especially known for the food, lots of beef and deep-fried batter. I'm standing inside Peachy Concessions, which is the home of the fried Oreo. They're standing over a very, very hot fry-o-lator, and they have been here at the Big E for 50 years, making people extremely healthy. Peachy Concession is a family-owned company from where?
Well, what we do is we dip it there in a funnel cake batter, so it's just it's a sweet batter. Throw it right here in the fry-o-lator, let it cook for a couple minutes. Voila, tasty, creamy Oreos.
On the opening weekend, Chalice of Salvation broadcast the Mass live from the Big E with Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky as the celebrant and the adult choir from St. Cecilia Parish in Wilbraham providing the music. Mass is celebrated every Sunday at the fair at Union Meeting House. Fairgoers could shop for just about everything as vendors set up in the state buildings and throughout the fairgrounds, from gel soles to mattresses to neon signs to a personality analysis, which I skipped. There was something for everyone. Even Massachusetts Citizens for Life has a display inside the Better Living Center to give people more information about their pro-life work. 29-year-old Elise Texera is one of the volunteers. How are you received here at the Big E?
Very receptive. People come that are pregnant or that are adopted, or this one lady came up with her daughter, and the daughter said, "Thank you for not aborting me," and the mom said, "I don't believe in that."
This is a good place for visibility?
Yes, definitely. Thousands of people come here from all over. I've had a lot of people stop at the booth that are from New York and Rhode Island and even 10 hours away in northern Maine. With everything the Big E has to offer, it's hard to see it all, but crowds of people are doing their best to fit in as much as possible.
We come up here yearly if we can. We missed the last couple of years, but we're back.
Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Caroline McGrath.
And remember, you still have until October 1st to come on by and experience the Big E. I guarantee you it will be as sweet as this cream puff. And for this week, that's Reel to Reel. Thanks for spending part of your evening with us. For updates anytime, you can find information and news on the Catholic Church, both here in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world on our news and information site, iobserve.org. And also be sure to friend us on Facebook, where you will be able to travel with our reporters as they work on stories for Reel to Reel and get the latest news on the Catholic Church. Like us at Catholic Communications. I will be back at this same time next week for another edition of Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Have a great week.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.